Alright, good afternoon. This is Maverick Prime. I just made a quick little video showing the evolution of my efforts in constructing a Hell Talon-esque Chaos Fighter for my Chaos Army. I initially started this project just as a means to have something to represent the Hell Talon with, until I actually managed to see the proper Hell Talon model from Forge World, and very promptly decide I will never field that model, ever. Excuse me. So I decided to build a version that I would field, which has led to this project and the 6 models you see before you now. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the earliest model, talk about what I did with it, what I improved on it in the next version, and so on and so forth, until I get to the latest version. So, let's begin. This is actually the second model I built. The first one did not survive a trip down the stairs. This is pretty much a slightly modified version of the Paper Hammer templates that are available online. The only major modification I made was I added some thickness to the wing. As you can see, it's very flat, very boring, but I was attempting to liven it up, add some engine detail, support struts, that kind of thing. Moderate success, at very least a good starting point. With the next version, I switched to a cheaper experimental medium, namely cardboard. This worked out really well because it's the kind of cardboard you get from, cereal boxes and cracker boxes, stuff like that. Stuff that my family eats in abundance. So the material was effectively free for my efforts. As you can see, I made the wings considerably thicker on this version. If I remember correctly, that is 6 millimeters thick. As you can no doubt tell, I made the main cannons far incredibly too long. Needless to say, this was a moderate advancement. Some more engine detailing. But that led to my next version. This one here. As you can see, I added some main body supports to keep the model from folding on itself. Again, still experimenting with engine detailing. Same thickness in the body. Filled the body with wood glue for stability. And I made a set of ammo hoppers using toothpicks and cardboard. Once again, going for as cheap as I possibly could get. Major problem with this version: A, support struts way too far forward. B, nothing in the model. Makes it look kind of dorky. So, anyway, I moved on to version 4, which you see before you here. Don't mind the bent wingtip. That's the result of it having fallen down the stairs. Yes, I work in a basement, so stair travel is a regular part of my day. As you can see, I modified the template to add a body section that forced the wing pylons downward in sort of a swept V pattern. Instead of using corrugated cardboard, I used sheet cardboard, about 11 layers if I remember my numbers correctly on this, for the wing pylons. And as you can see, that's made the wing very strong. Also achieved some moderate success with the engine detailing here. As you can see, I added a very chaosy style of claw blades to the engine. Overall, this was a pretty good success, and I felt ready to move on to sheet styrene, which led to this version here. This is a full sheet styrene model. Excuse me. The sheet styrene was actually 4 sale signs that I got from Home Depot. If I remember correctly, total cost on those were about $18, and I haven't had to buy another one since. So as you can see, I've still got the swept wing with the thicker wings to them. For engine workings, I added the Valkyrie engine. That's the engine from the Imperial Guard Valkyrie. Pair of autocannons made from heavy bolters, and a moderate attempt at VTOL thrusters. Overall, I consider this model to be my baseline, meaning I will not put a model worse than this on the table. And if I construct a model that is worse quality than this one, it is an abject failure. But that does lead me to my current rendition, which is still in progress. Some family stuff is coming up, so I have to put the rest of it on hold a little bit. This is an improvement over the prior model in pretty much every way I can point to. First thing, I modified the design to use the Games Workshop flying base, just like the Valkyrie and Storm Ravens. I imagine that's going to be the standard flying model base they're going to use from now on. As you can see, I also added the claw blades to the engine on this version. Once again, I think it gives it a very mean profile. Let me pop this guy off real quick. There we go. As you can see, I added some cabling and wires to the engine and the body to make it look like the engine's actually part of the body. Unlike the prior model, where I just had the exposed sheet styrene, as you can see there, you can see the layers. I went back and added a sheet around the edge to cover it up and make it look a little bit cleaner, cleaner for chaos. I finally figured out a good way to do rivets and bolts. Before, I would use a hex rod and just cut it, but the problem was the pieces tended to go flying across the room, and I would never see the pieces again. So what I did on this one was I taped the hex rod to my ruler and then cut 1mm segments to be the bolts. The tape keeps it in place and I don't lose them. And you can see the end result here. Ultimately, I'm going to have bolts all along the cockpit area and the main fuselage to give it much more of a industrial steampunk kind of feel to it. Less finished, less refined, more brutal. I think that's far more fitting for a chaos design. This is also my first time using Milliput sculpting clay. As you can see, I used it to fill in some gaps around the main body. It's an interesting substance, and I'm going to need a little more experimentation to really say too much about it. First efforts here look promising, though. So chances are I'll be talking about that again in the future. Let me pop this guy on his stand again. And there you have it. From pretty much the start to the current edition of Maverick Prime's Hellshrieker Chaos Fighter. I will post future updates as they're available. Thank you.